Welcome back. First off, wanted to do kind of another update, state of the industry sort of thing. How is Prime Tanker doing? Right now, we are back to being busy. I guess would be the best way to put it. Personally, I've been busy for a different reason. Bought a house a few weeks ago. So I've been incredibly busy moving and getting a house set up and all that stuff. And it's unfortunate because work has been busy again, and I've had to take some time off to deal with some house stuff. So we kind of thought it's a slow time right now, and hey, we thought this would be a great time that I wouldn't have to really worry about missing stuff, since there had been a little bit of a slowdown. But we are back to being busy out of Decatur, and from what I understand, everybody else. So great news there, and obviously that coincides with a lot of businesses, a lot of states are reopening, and just because of that, obviously, if more people are going out, more people are dining out, more people are buying more food, that's going to increase the amount of things, businesses that need to purchase food or food making supplies, which is, as you know, what we haul here from Prime, a lot of ingredients for the food manufacturing industry. So good news there. Things are starting to pick back up again. That's certainly fantastic. I also wanted, and the title should give you a bit of a hint, I wanted to try and jump ahead, and I know I never really did a recap on the February driver advisory board, and that partially is because everything just kind of blew up with the pandemic. But at this point, we're 3 weeks out from the next driver advisory board meeting, and I really wanted to get out ahead of that and encourage as many people who watch this or able to share this video. And I'll put a link in the description. I want folks to reach out with comments, questions, concerns. Obviously, a lot has happened over the last few months. There's going to be a lot of people who want to know things, and Prime has done a great job. If you don't follow Prime's YouTube channel, I highly encourage you to follow their YouTube channel. They have put out basically every Friday or Saturday. They sometimes put it out a little early on a Thursday. But basically every Friday for the last, I think it's 3 months now, they have put out a video. And the reason for that is it used to be every Friday they would have a safety meeting. And that safety meeting was held in Springfield. If you were in Springfield for one reason or another, typically when you go through orientation, if you're coming to Prime, they have you go to that meeting on Friday morning. If you go to that meeting, you get free breakfast. They have a whole bunch of speakers. They talk about, obviously, safety stuff. The safety department kind of runs the meeting. But everybody else gets an opportunity to talk. So operations gets a chance to talk about how business is. If there's anything going on with Prime's app, they'll have somebody come and talk about new features on the app. They'll talk about some news and whatnot. Since social distancing being what it is for the last 3 months, Prime has not been able to hold those safety meetings, and they put out these videos. And I would encourage anyone. Prime has been incredibly transparent, unbelievably transparent when you get right down to it. A couple of weeks ago, one of those weekly meeting videos, Friday videos, they ran down numbers about how many trucks are on the road, how is weekly revenue compared right now to how it was a year ago for each division, reefer, flatbed, tanker. It's incredibly transparent. Why that is, and a large part of the reason, large part of the way that Prime has kept the revenue at minimum flat, in some cases even better than it was a year ago. If you don't know how trucking works, obviously when a company has freight, they don't necessarily always have enough drivers for that freight. So whatever freight Prime can't cover, they broker. And if you don't know what brokering freight means, it means they find somebody else to haul that freight. In order to keep the drivers that haul for Prime whole, in order to make sure that we haven't lost as much money as we potentially could have, they've cut way down on the brokered freight. And again, that'll be in one of those videos. I'll throw a link to that one in particular in the description. But again, every Friday, it's certainly worthwhile. And obviously there's a lot of other videos that are on that channel. Andrea Mueller runs those for Prime, and prior to all this happening, she does a fantastic job. We'll do truck tours. We'll get a representative from Freightliner or from Peterbilt or from International and go through the various trucks and some of the features on them. We'll go to the Sleep Study Center and give you an idea of what that's all like. So there's a ton of great information on the Prime YouTube channel, so I highly encourage you to check that out. Bottom line that I was getting to, though, is Driver Advisory Board. And I'll throw a link in the description to the Prime Driver Advisory Board website. And the reason I'm bringing that up is, again, we have our first meeting since all of the pandemic and everything started, coming up in 3 weeks. And there is a link on the DAB website to contact the Driver Advisory Board. And I want to see as many people as possible contact DAB before our meetings. What seems to happen is there's a notification that, hey, the Driver Advisory Board is meeting today, and then we get a lot of feedback in the ensuing couple of days. I would love to see that feedback before we have our meeting. and that way we can address the topics that people are concerned about while we're meeting. Now, we're not going to Springfield this time. To be determined. It's probably going to be some sort of Zoom setting. I've never done a Zoom meeting. My wife has done a couple, and I've seen those. It's going to be very interesting. She's done, I think she had about a dozen people on her meeting that she's been doing the last couple of days. We will have 50, 75 people, I think. I'm very interested to see how it works. But again, I really want people to bring questions, comments, concerns before we have those meetings, because we only get together 3 times a year. And if you can get us the questions, comments, concerns before we get together, that ensures an opportunity to have your questions, comments, and concerns addressed when we're all, if not in the same room, on the same meeting video chat, as opposed to bringing those comments, questions, and concerns up after the fact, after we've all left each other. So that's kind of what I wanted to do here, is say, hey, 3 weeks out, get your questions, comments, concerns in. You can obviously send them to the comment section on the DAB website. If you don't want to do that, because that, by the way, goes to everybody who's on the Driver Advisory Board. All the members get that email. You can comment here if you don't want it to go to everyone. If you just want me to see it, you can use the email address that I have down below as well. However you want to do it, I just want to make sure we get as many people contributing as possible. If you're not a Prime driver, as always, I do have that link in the description. You can use that if you want to come to Prime. We are still hiring. They're just doing it a little bit differently right now. You have to get your own way to Prime, as opposed to, we're not utilizing Greyhound at this time. So that's a difference, and the orientation classes are smaller because of social distancing, and we don't want to have large groups all in the same place at the same time. So at any rate, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to hearing from you guys about any questions, comments, or concerns that you have for the Prime Driver Advisory Board. And I look forward to talking to you guys and seeing you again soon.